what we care about is fear in the spiritual life in the kind of rational fear,
Yes.
the rational sense.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's going to be like fear in many respects is a proper response to, like you said, dangers, or like we said, evil.
Yeah,
When
that's right.
evil presents itself to us, there's a certain unnaturalness to evil.
Yep.
And
And there's a natural response to
so
unnaturalness.
the natural response to unnatural things is fear.
Yeah.
And so that's okay.
That's right.
But let's then like move
Mm-hmm.
over into when we're talking about the rational fear within the context of spiritual life. Like, is it just like a blanket look, or is it green lights all the way? What are we talking about with this?
Well, you might think, so I like this, you pointed out the fear involving the evil thing, or the evil potential, the danger, right? And so the evil is there. You might think, well, in the spiritual life, what are we talking about, evils and stuff? Is this like demons and saying, no, there are evils to be avoided in the spiritual life. Fear as we'll talk about the gift later, but as a rational fear, as a capacity of the soul, has a dimension of responding to evils.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where there's a nice distinction that St. Thomas makes. It's in the tradition, of course, but between servile fear and filial fear.
Okay.
So think about, we've moved past the kind of subrational fear as an emotion to now rational fear as a spiritual activity, as a human rational activity. And that means it can take two shapes. Mm-hmm. So it still has the basic structure of response to a perceived danger or evil.
Right.
But now it has a sort of rational component. It's a higher level. And he talks about this, the tradition talks about this, and St. Thomas talks about this in terms of the difference between a slave and his master and a son and his father. And servile fear is the sense of that the fear that a slave has to a master or servant, a servile. And filial fear is the fear that a son has to his father. And you might think, fine enough, but what's the real distinction here?
Yeah.
And this is where we'll do just a little bit of phenomenology.
All right.
Phenomenology, of course, is understanding things by looking at their acts, their act character. So it's like the internal structure of something. And in servile fear, the fear of a servant to a master, the fundamental fear is the fear of him doing something to you.
Okay.
So think about it's the fear of the directionality of him to you. So you fear that servant fears the master because the master can punish him. The evil, so the evil is punishment.
I want to avoid that punishment.
And I want to avoid the punishment, and he's the one who brings it.
Right.
So I fear him because he can bring evil to me by punishing me. It's towards me. Now, with a son and a father, there is a fear there. There's a sense of there could be a danger of a punishment or an evil or a separation. But it's the other direction. You fear that you will do something to him, bringing dishonor, bringing shame, disobeying, that will result in separation.
Yeah.
And that's, even though it's still a sense of fear of a potential evil, of separation, punishment, what have you, the directionality is who is the one to be feared. In a sense, in servile fear, you fear the master because of what he can do to you. But in filial fear, you fear yourself doing something that'll separate you from him.
Father Bonaventure, if you had the choice between holding a toad and subscribing to a YouTube channel, what would you choose?
Subscribe to a toad holding a YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh. Please subscribe to a toad holding a YouTube channel, especially if it's ours. Cheers.